Oh boy, we got some stuff to talk about today. If you were Team Nintendo Switch 2 2024, just like I was, to be fair, because the same sources that we had to go off of that were telling us that they're hearing from all of these development partners that Nintendo is gearing up for a late 2024 launch, and all of these different credible names, Andy Robinson, VGC, Eurogamer, major publications that are all pointing the signal towards 2024. Well, not all of these have come out and said that that's not the plan anymore, but many of them have, due to Nintendo potentially shifting the internal goalpost for this console to launch to early 2025, Q1 specifically, meaning they might actually go for something like a repeat of their strategy with the Nintendo Switch, which is a March release. Now, we're going to unpack all of the details and talk about how this affects Nintendo's broader 2024 lineup, because in a month where we're not really expecting a mainline direct anymore, but probably a partner showcase this week, which we'll touch on, there's a lot of implications here. So we'll get to all that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first hop over to VGC, where you can see all of the detailed information typed up around these claims, with a couple of updates since the story originally went live. So if you're somebody who's already seen this talked about on other channels, sometimes waiting just a little bit to cover the news does actually pay off. We've had a couple updated comments here. As you can first see, sources, Nintendo Switch 2 will now launch in 2025. Update, VGC sources suggest Nintendo's next console will arrive later than expected. That's according to Brazilian journalist Pedro Henrique, who claims in a new Ox Do Control video that he received the information from 5 separate sources. According to the sources, they are also working on games targeting Q1 2025 to launch alongside the console itself, which has internally slipped out of a previous 2024 target. Eurogamer reports it heard similar whispers from industry sources this week, though it has not been able to concretely substantiate them. Previously, VGC reported that Nintendo was targeting a launch for its next console in late 2024 per development sources. This was later supported by other outlets. Update number 1. Since publishing the story, VGC has heard from multiple sources who said Nintendo has told publishers its next console will now launch in Q1 2025. According to the sources, third-party game companies were recently briefed on an internal delay in Nintendo's next-gen launch timing from late 2024 to early the following year. One publishing source suggested the delay was so Nintendo could prepare stronger first-party software for the console. It's possible the next-gen Nintendo console will now follow a similar timeline to the Switch, which was released in March but announced the previous year. VGC has asked Nintendo for comment on the story. Update number 2, Eurogamer has now corroborated that the Switch 2 is set for a Q1 2025 release. The console's launch, moving into early next year but still within the coming financial year, is designed to ensure Switch 2's launch lineup features as many titles as possible, Eurogamer understands it said. 2 development sources VGC spoke to on Friday indicated that they were working on Switch 2 games planned for release early next year, but could not confirm that it meant a later than expected launch for the console itself. Although the company is yet to comment publicly, Nintendo Switch's successor was widely expected to launch this year. So if you're someone who reads this and says, well, this is just insiders moving the target goalpost again themselves and they don't have any concrete information, well, there'd really be no reason for them to do that, because we haven't given enough time for 2024 to even pass by before they're coming out and reporting this stuff. Not to mention the fact that we have to ask the very big question that if this internal delay is real and it is now planned for early 2025 to launch Nintendo's next-gen hardware and not 2024 like was previously reported, does that affect the big outstanding rumor primarily led by Nate the Hate, saying that he's heard that the March timing for the reveal for this console is concrete? Well, he's made some specific comments around this himself over on X, where you can see that even that is being called into question at this point. He says the following: instead of answering each tweet asking for my take, I'll respond here. I became aware of industry chatter concerning a delay to Q1 2025 earlier this week. This info was only relayed to partners very recent. Beyond that, I've been checking how this may impact announcement timing. This is all very fresh. We'll provide update on Q1 2025 delay and whether this alters Nintendo's announcement plans when I can. So here's my take on all of this. While I would love to say that it's very unlikely that we will see the Switch launch in Q1 2025 and that Nintendo will want it out before holiday season and all of that good stuff, stuff, and we should still expect Switch 2 to launch in 2024. We really don't know at this point in time, and we really won't until Nintendo finally decides to reveal this thing themselves to us directly in some kind of press release or trailer or however they decide to do it, and then hopefully communicate their own launch window for said hardware. And that's what you have to remember with this stuff. Until Nintendo officially announces it and officially communicates to us, we just don't know for sure. But what is sounding more likely is that whatever partners are leaking this information to gaming journalists within the industry that have been the source for numerous internal reports that have proven to be true over the course of time, is that they are hearing now that they're being briefed or told to push back their software until Q1 2025 to allow Nintendo potentially to build out a stronger first party lineup. And you talk about what the Nintendo Switch looks like in 2024, if that is what Nintendo's true focus is. And that's where things get a little bit bleak as a Nintendo fan, because they might have more games up their sleeves that we don't know about to release on the Nintendo Switch today. But so far, considering that we're looking at February passing us by without any official mainline Nintendo Direct to reveal new games, and the very rumored thing that should be happening next week, I'm back on the next week train now that PRO has said essentially in a tweet that there will be a mini partner showcase taking place next week, and PRO has a 100% track record. It's not somebody who's ever missed before, and this is either going to be their first miss or we're going to get a mini partner showcase next week. Well, let's talk about the fact that Nintendo's kicking off the year of 2024 from a software perspective with a mini partner showcase, which really should signify their bigger plans for potentially a hardware reveal soon and then a late 2024 launch for the console. That made all the sense in the world to me. But if we're talking about Q1 2025 and then we're talking about still a very light first party software lineup from Nintendo in 2024, that's where things get a little bit uncomfortable this year. Now, the way I could kind of see Nintendo saving face this year with the software release schedule is to bring us games like Metroid Prime 4 and potentially whatever the Pokemon team is working on for the 2024 holiday games, and then we stack those with some very fan requested ports and remasters like Wind Waker, like Twilight Princess. Maybe that potential for a light software release year in 2024 is what Nintendo has really been saving some of these games for this whole time. Maybe we could talk about a surprise Donkey Kong reveal now that it's been 10 years since his last game. But then you talk about these reports and Nintendo wants to wait to stack the lineup of new games launching on Nintendo Switch 2, which is why they're supposedly moving this back to Q1 2025. And does that mean that we just kind of have a drought of first party Nintendo content? I don't think it will be as sparse as maybe what Sony will be doing this year following their investor briefing, basically saying no major first party titles in the realm of Spider-Man or God of War are going to be coming out. Like, they don't have anything really big up their sleeves. Not that they don't have any first party titles, but not those marquee big titles. And Nintendo could be in a similar boat to some extent this year if we are to believe these reports. So things are going to get very interesting if it does indeed end up being a mini partner showcase in the month of February. And of course, I'm not expecting there to be a March Direct if that is the case. I think that this partner showcase is happening because Nintendo doesn't have anything first party to show us right now, and they just have requirements with the third parties to go ahead and air these type of directs to promote their projects. We kind of have seen Nintendo communicate what they have to us, and it's happened in the form of mini Twitter/X directs where we see Princess Peach Showtime trailers and Splatoon details for the DLC. Like, we're seeing the kind of stuff they would promote in a mainline direct happen online independently on social media. And so up to this point in time, I've been very excited that that's the case, because even if we go through a little bit of a drought with the software communication, that was leading a lot more credence to the March hardware reveal. But now we have to ask the question if Nintendo would be okay with revealing the hardware in March this far out from a potential internal launch. Could that goalpost now shift to June or something over the summertime? And that's entirely plausible as well. Although I am still hoping that if we just learn about what Nintendo's working on from a next-gen console perspective, they can start to show us the new games for that, get us hyped up for that. And even if we have to wait just a little bit longer, because if you really think about it, if we were talking about Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, I mean, it's not that long of waiting realistically when we're talking about the Nintendo Switch literally being a full 8 years old at that point. If we're talking about March next year, what's 3 to 6 more months of waiting when you've already waited almost 8 years for a console, especially if we are getting a look at what this console is going to offer and what kind of major first party software software we could expect to launch with it all along the way. If Nintendo's really hyping this up and really marketing this as we're leading into the launch of this console, I will not be upset. I just hope that we don't have to go through radio silence until much further into 2024 to learn about what Nintendo's planning with their next gen hardware plans. But that's how I feel about it. I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What's your personal take on all of this stuff? Do you think that the VGCs and Eurogamers of the world are just wildly inaccurate and these reports don't hold any merit, and you think Nintendo will indeed still launch in Q4 2024 and to hit that natural boost in retail sales from people doing their Christmas shopping? Or do you think that, yeah, these are the same sources that were reporting before that it was supposed to be a 2024 launch, and now we should more or less expect that to be shifted to 2025? And do you think that spells good things for the software lineup potential and the big heavy hitters to be all there day one? Or do you think it's something that Nintendo should still go ahead with the 2024 Q4 timeline and just wait for some of that software to come out at the beginning part of next year? And if you had to pick just a few Nintendo franchises that you hope are featured as part of the launch lineup for the next gen hardware, what would those be? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.